ATP, what it do with your boy Clay? More rain back at you guys with another one. Guys, man, I mean, it's July 19th. It's Saturday. It's about 12:40 a.m. Well, p.m., sorry, over here where I'm at. Guys, I'm on vacation right now. I'm chilling with the family, kicking in with the wife. Got my sister here. We're about to go by the pool, kick it a little bit, have a couple of, we're dealing with our, what I mean, with the spirits and having a good time. And I'm trying my best. I'm not guaranteeing one way or the other. I'm going to try to call at least the co-main event and the main event of this fight. But guys, tap in if you haven't tapped in yet. Catch this event right here. This event right here is going to be amazing. Guys, if you remember Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua at Wembley Stadium, guys, you know how the building was. 90,000 plus people in the building screaming for what? For the sport we love, boxing. It's going down tonight again. This one for undisputed. Um, this one right here, Alexander Usyk, Daniel Dubois. The story is palatable. You can, I mean, just it's just got that kind of story to it. Where we're talking about redemption for Daniel Dubois, when we're talking about the journey. If you follow this to see Daniel Dubois, who took that loss against Alexander Usyk a year and a half, 2 years ago. And keep in mind, I'm shooting off the hip here. I didn't get an opportunity to actually get the dates locked in, but we're talking about a year and a half to 2 years ago. Daniel Dubois and Alexander Usyk met up. Daniel Dubois took a loss in that fight, but it was a little bit controversial, right? Why controversial? Because of a body shot that Daniel Dubois landed on Alexander Usyk, where the referee deemed it an illegal shot and gave Alexander Usyk an opportunity to recover from that fight. Needless to say, there's some redemption here because a lot of people felt like Daniel Dubois, if the referee would have chose to go in a different direction with that decision, we could have possibly been looking at Daniel Dubois. Well, first of all, we'd have been looking at Daniel Dubois as a unified champion in the heavyweight division if Alexander Usyk wasn't able to go ahead and recover from that body shot. But on top of that, who knows what the future would have held for Daniel Dubois, right? Maybe Daniel Dubois would have went ahead and fought Tyson Fury and became undisputed. He would have unified and been in Alexander Usyk's shoes right now. But we can't cry over spilled milk. The past is the past. Daniel Dubois on his road to redemption took it to the next level, guys. We saw him show up and show out. One thing about boxing in general and fighting in general, right, is the mental aspect of the game, the psychology of the sport. People sometimes understate it on how important it is for these fighters to be dialed in mentally where they need to be in order for them to be able to deliver the performances that they want to deliver, get these victories, achieve the highest levels of legacy and accolades that the game has to offer. There were questions about Daniel Dubois' ability to dial in and be committed to the sport and the belief he might have or might have not have in himself. Well, look, he went on this journey, three specific fights that were very significant to where we are right now. Number one, Jarrell Big Baby Miller. We watched him fight a fighter, Jarrell Big Baby Miller, who came into the ring almost 100 pounds over him in weight. I believe Daniel Dubois came into that fight somewhere between the 233, 235 pound, 238 pound window. Don't quote me. Do your own research. Put it in the comment section if I'm that far off. But I'm feeling it was somewhere in that range. And Big Baby Miller came in the ring, I believe, somewhere in the realm of between 315 to 330 plus pounds. So almost 100 pounds over Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois weathered the storm, fought Jarrell Big Baby Miller for 10 rounds, was well ahead in the cards, in my opinion, but in the 10th round had this second, third, maybe fourth gear that he hit where he just had to get Jarrell Miller out of there. Jarrell Miller coming into this fight, an undefeated heavyweight fighter who's never even been sat on his pockets, gets stopped for the first time by Daniel Dubois. It showed something that night. That night we caught a little glimpse of what we're going to see where we are today with Daniel Dubois. We started to say, well, this guy, he's a young fighter. Keep in mind, in his 20s, I believe when he fought Jarrell Baby Miller, he might have been 25 years old, 25, 26 years old. Don't quote me. Today, he's 27 years old. But he showed a little bit of growth in a space to where when you look at Daniel Dubois, you see the athleticism in him. You see the build in him. He has that kind of build in him that just lets you know that, man, you don't want to mess with it. You don't want to walk into Daniel Dubois in a dark alley, right? That's not the kind of guy you want in front of him in front of you in a dark alley. But mentally, he just wasn't there yet. He still was this young, up and coming fighter who was finding himself and really getting to know himself and who he was going to be, being challenged with that loss with Joe Joyce. And, where are you going to go in the sport and what is it going to take from you mentally to really dial in and be where you need to be in this sport? He showed that grit in that Jarrell Miller fight. And then he goes up into his next challenge against Philip Ergovich. We saw that fight, and a lot of people, including myself, was worried. I didn't know what kind of how that fight was going to look. I knew Philip Ergovich was going to test Daniel Dubois, similar to Jarrell Big Baby Miller, but Jarrell was more of a physical threat, right? He just was this big, massive fighter with that attitude, and Jarrell was, he talks crazy during the build-up, during the press conferences, and very intimidating character in Jarrell Miller. But Philip Ergovich brought that pedigree, right? The closest we were going to see to what it looked like he went through with a Alexander Usyk when people said he gave up in that fight, right? Got hit with that shot. His conditioning got tested. Maybe he got a little discouraged by the way the referee called that knockdown. And it seemed like he gave up. Well, Philip Ergovich looked like he was going to check the boxes in that area. And you had to question, what was that going to look like for Daniel Dubois? Well, look, Daniel Dubois showed that once again, showed the grit, showed us and affirmed to us and validated that this kid was reborn. He was reborn, guys. He revisited his mental space and he decided we were going to ride or die. And at that point, I think Daniel Dubois earned a lot of new fans. A lot of people started to empathize with his position, started to relate to this fighter, to the heart of a fighter. And then he stopped Philip Ergovich, an undefeated fighter who put down the likes of who stopped let's say the likes of a Zelazan. Well, didn't stop him, beat Zelazan, right? He moves into his next fight with, quite frankly, arguably the face of UK boxing, face of heavyweight boxing, and Anthony Joshua, a golden boy in his own right to the heavyweight division. Most people picked Anthony Joshua going to that fight. Do your research. You'll see I pretty much picked Anthony Joshua to win that fight. I thought he was a straight puncher. I saw him take a lot of shots, Daniel Dubois, against Philip Ergovich, and I said to myself, if Anthony Joshua is able to land those straight shots against Daniel Dubois, I can't see Daniel Dubois standing in front of that punching power, that actual imminent threat that Anthony Joshua provides in the ring when getting in the ring against any heavyweight fighter. If Daniel Dubois is not able to move his head off that line and adjust to this new threat in an Anthony Joshua, then I thought it wasn't going to be a good night for him. But guys, he showed up once again, and at this point, watching him outbox Anthony Joshua, have the better jab than Anthony Joshua, acknowledge and make the adjustments to fight in Anthony Joshua, and ultimately end up stopping Anthony Joshua in a way that we've never seen Anthony Joshua dominated. Now, guys, we've seen Andy Ruiz, put Anthony Joshua down, and there's arguments there that maybe Anthony Joshua wasn't in the right state of mind. Maybe he didn't prepare for Andy Ruiz at the time. He was preparing for Jarrell Big Baby Miller. All kinds of arguments could be made as to why Anthony Joshua looked the way he did that night in New York City against Andy Ruiz years back. But ultimately, Anthony Joshua was on his own road of redemption, right? We saw him defeat the likes of Otto Wallin, and we saw what he did to Francis Ngannou, and we watched him build himself up from that moment, from losing against an Alexander Usyk 2 times in a row to beating a Jermaine Franklin. We saw him go through the changes of going from Derek James, from Robert Garcia actually, to Derek James, and coming full circle and ending up with a Ben Davison. And we just thought Anthony Joshua arrived. So what ended up happening was amazing to us to see Daniel Dubois dominate Anthony Joshua, and in championship form and fashion, in greatness fashion, stopped Anthony Joshua, knocked Anthony Joshua out, defended his IBF title that he got, from an interim title that was elevated when the IBF put that mandatory on Alexander Usyk. It all builds up, guys. I know it may sound a little long-winded. We building up this story and understanding what's really behind this fight that's going to happen today. Now, this morning I'm looking here. I'm watching a prelim fight getting ready to get put together. This stadium looks like it's going to be completely packed out. Everybody's watching this. We're going to watch Daniel Dubois get an opportunity for his redemption tonight. And these stories make these fights even better as Daniel Dubois brings in a whole entire amount of momentum that he's built over the last year and a half into this fight. And everything he's done has culminated to this moment. And this is his opportunity to shine and show out and show the world and usher in a new era of heavyweight boxing. Now let's speak on Alexander Usyk, who within his own right has his own story as well that makes sense and brings this to be this story that we're watching. Alexander Usyk, an undisputed cruiserweight champion who went through those rankings, right? Made himself into the heavyweight division and fought the likes of Derek Chisora. He fought Anthony Joshua twice. He fought Tyson Fury twice, beat these guys, accumulated these belts, unified and took the three belts away from Anthony Joshua, and ultimately scored this big fight where he's always been the little guy in the ring against, let's say, 6'7" plus whatever height Tyson Fury is, and defeated this guy 2 times. Showed that grit, showed that skills paid the bills, was able to actually hurt Tyson Fury. A lot of people thought the referee jumped in there a little too early, given maybe five, let's say 30 more seconds, who knows what would have happened to Tyson Fury. But ultimately proved to the world this two-weight class undisputed champion at this point has shown the world that he's one of the best heavyweight fighters to ever grace the ring, right? A lot of people hold contention with that because when you think about the heavyweight fighters of history, with the Joe Frazier's, the Muhammad Ali's, the George Foreman's, when you get into that conversation, this can get real sticky, right? But regardless, at least in the era, very little argument as to Alexander Usyk being pound for pound one of the best fighters that this era of boxing has seen today. A lot of your favorite fighters would put Alexander Usyk on their pound for pound list at probably number one, right? When you think about the pound for pound list, the top three right now would probably be Usyk, Terrence Crawford, and Monster Inoue. You can move those numbers around however you see fit, but needless to say, generational talent, legacy fighter, first ballot probably Hall of Famer in an Alexander Usyk gets an opportunity to quiet the talk as the talk is going around town that Daniel Dubois fight you had, that was the fight right there that we thought you lost, Usyk. And Usyk, being the competitor that he is, won't let it slide. Now that Daniel Dubois is holding an IBF title, the only championship that he has missing from his collection of titles, that he has an argument to say he never even lost in the ring, that's an actual fact. He has an opportunity to become a two-time undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, a two-weight class undisputed champion, a gold medal winner in the Olympics. Listen, guys, this right here, once in a lifetime opportunities. If you look at the history since you've been alive watching boxing, how many opportunities have you seen, have you gotten to see an undisputed heavyweight championship of the world? Nonetheless, a two-time heavyweight undisputed champion of the world. And if you follow the story of Daniel Dubois, you understand how much this fight means. Guys, this is going to be, in my personal opinion, one, maybe the fight of the year. It has so much going on behind it, and Daniel Dubois seems so dialed in. There is my last and final thoughts on this fight and the value of this fight. And let me give you my prediction. Daniel Dubois has to make adjustments in this fight. He was on the right path when he fought Alexander Usyk, and where he fell short was his mental strength and his ability to stand fast and hold it down and continue to move forward with the game plan that he had. Daniel Dubois brings another element of stress and threat to Alexander Usyk because he does bring an understated amount of athleticism to the ring. In other words, he's able to keep up with Daniel Dubois in a way that, let's say, a Tyson Fury wasn't able to do it, or Anthony Joshua wasn't able to do it. And he's been boxing ever since he's been in his young years. Don't quote me, but I believe ever since he was in the realm of about 9 years old, this guy's been boxing. Anthony Joshua was different. He came in a little bit later. He did go into the Olympics and do what he did, but he doesn't have that pedigree and that background that Daniel Dubois actually brings to the ring. He came in and weighed out yesterday at 233 pounds. And I believe Alexander Usyk came in around 227 pounds. Guys, that's perfect. That's what I want to see from Daniel Dubois. He is going to be in great condition. And and he should be. Because he's dealing with a fighter in Alexander Usyk who's going to bring all the athleticism and is going to truly test his conditioning. But if Daniel Dubois can actually achieve the conditioning and deliver and manifest the cutting off of the ring. If he's able to cut the ring off on Alexander Usyk and at the same time keep that pressure on him, and yes, the elephant in the room is, can Daniel Dubois effectively apply consistent pressure and apply that body campaign? The body shots are going to make a difference in this fight. If Daniel Dubois believes in what he did in the last fight, then I'm looking for Daniel Dubois to attack that body, set up shots. When you attack the body, you take away the legs, you take away the gas, you slow down the fighter. And if you slow down a fighter like Alexander Usyk in front of a fighter like Daniel Dubois, then you have the opportunity for fireworks. Somebody can get stopped in this fight. Specifically, Alexander Usyk can be stopped by Daniel Dubois tonight. Now, Alexander Usyk has spent 12 rounds with Daniel Dubois, and he understands what he's dealing with more than I could even explain or describe it. So I'm expecting him to be ready for that as well. We also saw Alexander Usyk stop Daniel Dubois when it was all said and done once he was able to recover from that body shot. So we know Alexander Usyk can deliver the punishment. But we can also acknowledge that Daniel Dubois' conditioning was tested, and Alexander Usyk wasn't ultimately able to really hurt Daniel Dubois into those later championship rounds, where Daniel Dubois mentally was depleted and discouraged, but also physically his conditioning was also tested, and we saw that the power was part of it, but the conditioning was another part of it. Let's see if Daniel Dubois can start early, take advantage of the knowledge he had with the 12 rounds he had with Alexander Usyk. And let's see if this will be a round 13 of that epic fight they had a year and a half to 2 years ago. I'm going to be real with you guys. I am favoring a little bit. We're going to go 55-45 for me personally, even though on paper it may say something different. I'm going with Daniel Dubois on this. I think he has the momentum behind him. I think he has the drive. And guys, outside of his mental and the mental space and the psychology that he was in going to that fight, he was competing with Alexander Usyk at the highest level that the game has to offer. I think we have a better Daniel Dubois than the Daniel Dubois who fought Alexander Usyk some years ago. So you combine that with this new sense of confidence that he has, Alexander Usyk is jumping in the ring with somebody that he doesn't necessarily have all of the cards in on his side of the argument. He's not the most necessarily athletic guy in the ring. He might have a little bit of an edge, but is it enough to move the needle against somebody like Daniel Dubois? Because the power, the threat, the punching power, the aggression, the imminent danger sits on Alexander Usyk's side as far as who's in danger, and sits on Daniel Dubois' side as far as who provides the most danger. This is going to be an interesting fight. I might try to call it tonight if I can make it back. Right now, I'm about to head down to the pool, kick it with the family. I might swim around a little bit. Maybe I might do a cold plunge. Who knows what I might do, right? It's vacation time. We out and about. I'm not home, as you guys can tell, right? You guys can tell I'm not home. But I wanted to tap in with the community and let you guys know that this fight is a fight that we all need to be dialed into. If you're a real boxing fan, this one checks the boxes. And we got a great undercard on here as well. I think the American boxing space needs to become more familiar with the UK boxing space. They're damn near leading the conversation as far as where boxing is right now and heading into, with Turkey Al Sheikh getting behind these events. This is where it's at. Wembley Stadium, 90,000 plus people. Guys, I wouldn't advise you to miss this. I won't miss this. I don't know that I'll call the live. We'll see. Cross our fingers. If everything works out, that's what will happen. But I wanted to go ahead and get my final thoughts on this one. We're going with Daniel Dubois for the win on this one. What round? I don't know, man. This fight is going to be competitive. Probably the latter rounds, maybe between 7 and 10 rounds. We'll see what happens. Or maybe it goes to the full 12 rounds. And let's see if Daniel Dubois can win more rounds out of the 12 rounds. Let's see if he can win 7+ rounds in this one and go home with the victory. On the back end of a victory for Daniel Dubois, he becomes the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. 27 years old. He's leading the pack. A can-do attitude like Daniel Dubois, who's willing to fight anybody and everybody in the heavyweight division. I think it's a great look for the heavyweight division, right? But at the same time, a win for Alexander Usyk is also a great look for the heavyweight division. He just solidifies and cements his space in the boxing Hall of Fame. These aren't the kind of fights that we should be missing, guys. There's a lot of events going on today. We're going to watch Manny Pacquiao fight against Mario Barrios. We're going to watch Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora get their redemption in. And I'm going to put a video out on that as well. That's going to be an epic fight. But historically speaking, this fight right here holds a lot more weight with me. It's a fight I'm going to make sure I don't miss. I'm watching the prelims right now against between Garuli and Francis. We're in the third round right now out of a 6-round fight. Good looking fight. Guru's walking down. Garuli's walking down. Francis right now. I'm gonna get back into this, watching the fight, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section. I'm super interested in where you guys have it right now. I know on paper, black and white, it looks like Usyk has all the cards, but I think there's an understated amount of weight that we're not putting on Drive, right? The psychology of the sport. The fighter with the right mindset can do anything, and I think Daniel Dubois dialed in, man. 233 pounds on the scales, man. He's in great condition. He's focused. He feels his best, and he knows what's on this. He wants to right this wrong. I'm going with Daniel Dubois on this one. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. If it's your first time tapping into the content, take an opportunity. Hit the subscribe button. Before you forget, hit the subscribe button, right? And also hit your notifications so you are getting that. Hit that bell icon so you get notifications when I'm dropping content like this. Before you leave, let's get a thumbs up for the channel. Until the next one, it's your boy Ray. Excuse me, it's your boy Clay. It's at ATV Combat Media. Until the next one, we out.